Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review. Next up is the Hasbro Marvel Legends series, the Deluxe MCU, a Marvel Studios special presentation, Werewolf by Night. We have Man-Thing. Now I know, where's Jack Russell the werewolf? I don't know. We don't know if we're going to get one. I wish I would have asked the Hasbro guys that at San Diego Comic-Con, but typically they don't give straight answers when we ask about particular characters and that sort of thing. They probably would have said something like, anything is possible, we see Man-Thing, you know, blah, 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 blah. If enough people like Man-Thing, maybe we could do it. I would imagine that yes, they would be doing a werewolf, because how could you do a character from a show but not do the title character? Like, that doesn't make sense, right? Now, granted, here's the thing about it. I think Man-Thing was a fairly easy figure for them to release, because we had a previous Man-Thing Build-A-Figure. Now, are these figures the same? Kind of, sort of, somewhat, not all that much, a little bit, yeah. Right? Yes and no. Some things are the same, some things are not. So it uses, I want to say, a lot of pieces that are the same, but it's not all the same. Like upper arms, shoulders, I think are going to be the same. Well, shoulder might not. Like, there's certain pieces that will be the same, and I will talk about it as we do the review. But I think it was a semi-easier figure to do, whereas a Jack Russell werewolf figure is probably going to take a lot of new tooling, whereas Man-Thing only needed some new tooling instead of all of it, if that makes sense. Now, that's a terrible excuse. Hasbro should just make a werewolf. Like, I think... And I could be wrong on this, but I thought Werewolf by Night was universally liked by fans. Maybe I'm wrong in that. You know, it was the MCU people hate some projects or don't like some projects or don't like the direction of the MCU, don't care for it at all, whatever the case may be. I didn't see a whole lot of negativity when it came to Werewolf by Night. I didn't even see very many criticisms. So why would we not have a Werewolf by Night? And while we're at it, give us an Elsa Bloodstone. I mean, we have a Marvel Legends Elsa Bloodstone, a comic version that was released in the Toys R Us exclusive A-Force box set. But let's get an MCU version. I know she didn't have red hair in it, but I guess that's okay. But anyway, Man-Thing. Let's go take a look at that. I got mine from toysnowman.com. Link in the video description below. It is currently in stock right now, so link in the video description below. Ships pretty much everywhere in the world. And it's available now. So use the link in the video description. It's my referral link, so use that link. For first-time buyers, new account holders, you get a 5% off coupon code in your Frost Rewards to get Man-Thing. Looking at the package, we got the Werewolf by Night logo at the top. We got the logo in the front. We get a black and white look minus his red eyes, which I think red was colored in the show, if I'm not mistaken. Like the Bloodstone, I think had red, so I don't know if Man-Thing's eyes were red. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just colored him in to kind of bring him out. But it is black and white artwork because, again, the show was originally aired in black and white. The next year is when they presented it in color. And then look here at the back, we get a look there at Man-Thing. Again, his creepy eyes, one is kind of glowing there and everything. So really excited. So let's go ahead and open this thing up and let's take a look at Man-Thing. Okay, so here I have the Man-Thing figure out of the package. So we're going to talk about what's new. And we're going to talk about what has been reused from the previous Build-A-Figure. Now, this Build-A-Figure was years ago, and I reviewed this figure very, very early on in my channel's history. It was one of the first few waves. I think it was probably like the third wave that I had reviewed, maybe the fourth wave. I think it was the Warlock X-Men wave, then Spider-Man Homecoming wave, Thor Ragnarok wave, and then the Marvel Knights Netflix wave that had Punisher, Elektra, Daredevil. And then it also had... Who else was in that wave? There was a Blade figure. Oh, that's going to drive me crazy. I'm not going to remember that wave. Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones. Okay, so which I actually have this figure now because it could work for an Elsa Bloodstone. I'm not going to remember the full wave off the top of my head now. I do remember there was a comic Blade figure in there, and I think there was another comic figure that I cannot remember for the life of me at the moment while I'm trying to think about it. But we have the Build-A-Figure Man-Thing. So again, very early on in my channel, and here we are many years later, and we have a new version of Man-Thing that is MCU. As you can see, it's going to be the same size because the base body itself is going to be the same. I think the only real differences that we have here are the lower legs, the forearms, the hands, and then new head. I think the rest of it is going to be the same. Now, the torsos obviously look different. The reason why the torsos are different is because it's a rubber overlay on that torso. Now that I look at it, the shoulders are actually different too. But I'll get in for a closer look and all that to kind of confirm all those things. I'm just high level, first time seeing them side by side, just as you guys are here too. But pretty cool. The only thing is, I think because they use the base body, while it's a decent sized figure, I think in terms of MCU, it's actually going to be out of scale. I think it's going to be a little too small. Ted, the Man-Thing, I think he was fairly large sized in the special presentation movie. I don't know what you call it. I want to say movie. Well, you know, I'm looking at Jessica Jones next to him because it makes for a decent Elsa Bloodstone, I guess. I guess maybe it's okay, but I still feel like he was very large. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd have to go back and watch. It's been a few months since I had last seen it. I don't really remember off the top of my head. I think it's a fair size, but I do think Man-Thing probably should be a little bit bigger. Well, you guys let me know what you guys think of that down in the comments below. But let's go ahead and get in for a closer look to see all the cool details and the cool head sculpt that is on Man-Thing. And then, we will talk about the differences between the Build-A-Figure and this new figure as we do that. Whoo! Face only a mother can love right there. He's ugly. In the best kind of way, you know, it could be from the movie. Now, the movie, I want to say, because it was hard because I watched it in black and white multiple times. I think I only watched it in color one time. So I should probably go back and watch it in color since this figure is in color. Now, I would prefer it to be in color and not black and white because I think that would be a little bit weird. So I'd have to go back and kind of see, you know, how many different colors and shades of green and stuff that we had in there. Obviously, in an action figure, they're not going to get that completely right. Although, there is some green shading in some areas and things like that. So that's pretty cool. You know, we get some browns to kind of show some of the, I don't know, the plant-like texture kind of going throughout. They almost look like branches and things like that. So we do get some color variations and some things going on in there. So that is cool. The eyes look good. They're just really red there. Again, as we have like these branches and roots and things. He's got a lot of leaves and growth, plant growth and stuff like that sculpted in there. That all looks really good. Now on the torso, he's got this rib cage looking thing that I always thought was kind of odd. And I don't know if that's just how, like the design, if that's supposed to represent like what his rib cage was, you know, in human form. And then as he grows into this monster, if that's kind of how that works. I have no idea, but we will see. And again, this upper torso is a rubber overlay, so you could see it kind of move in there, and you can move it around. But again, it is rubber overlay. This mid-torso piece is a hard plastic piece, so that is the same as that, as you could tell by like that round portion there. We have that same thing there. We didn't get that painted here on the Build-A-Figure, but we get that little branch thing there painted for the Build-A-Figure. Now this growth right here in the front, this loincloth type looking thing, that is new also there. So I'm looking at the differences between the two. This one is new there. The shoulders are different. As you can see, we have like this mushroom esque type growth on his shoulders, whereas the Build-A-Figure did not have that. We kind of get that standard kind of plant growth going on there. So then the shoulder on the left arm is going to be kind of the same thing. We have this mushroom-esque like fungus growth on there that we do not have on the previous Build-A-Figure. As you can see here, the upper arm piece is the same. The forearm is different because we had this like drooping down growth here on the Build-A-Figure. We do not have that on this new one. Instead, we kind of get some of these branched plant-like lines, and we actually get a leaf in there. We don't have this drooping portion there. And then we do get different hands. One thing that was cool about the Build-A-Figure, look at them claws. They painted those. We didn't get any paint there on the hands nor the feet. And the Build-A-Figure feet, look at that. Them toes was painted. This new deluxe figure does not have paint on there. Now, the legs. The legs are going to be the same. So you can see here we got that mushroom-like growth there. We had that on the Build-A-Figure. It didn't get painted in, so it didn't look all that great, if I'm being honest. But this new one does have it. So let me zoom out a little bit. Sorry, guys. Poor camera angles there. So these leg pieces are the same, and that's going to be the same on both, as you can see, like this cross piece here. But we get some added in paint. So we got a little bit of paint for that branch-like piece there. Not a whole lot going else for that. We did get some additional shading on the Build-A-Figure that we don't have here, unfortunately. Like, we get shading here on this loincloth type spot, right here on the forearm, but in the legs, we don't get it. We get a little bit of that brown paint, so I guess that's the trade-off. But I like the shading to bring out the different shades of green on the previous Build-A-Figure that we just did not get here. Now, the knees. I assumed the knees were the same, and here, get this. This is funny. So this left knee on the Build-A-Figure, unless this was put together wrong, but no, maybe the deluxe figure's put together wrong, but this left knee is the right knee on this Man-Thing figure. If I'm looking at that correct, which I don't think I am now that I think about it. Wait a second. Maybe it's the same? No, it's not the same. I thought it was the same. Never mind. Scratch that. I am wrong. So, something looks this... Okay, so wait, hold on. Let me do this. Sorry. The kneecap on the left legs are the same, but upside down? Yeah, that's more like it. Okay, so the kneecaps are the same. Are the same. So left leg, left leg. It's just that this one and this one are flipped. So if you look at these now together, the knee on the previous one had some shading on there. We don't get shading now, but if you look, you see the same sculpted lines on there. It's upside down. So that changes it up a little bit. And now that I look at it, the right leg kneecaps are the same. It's just upside down. It took me a minute to figure that out because I know they weren't exactly one for one because they're upside down. But they are the same kneecaps, just upside down. Why that's a thing, I don't know. But it works, right? It doesn't make the leg work any differently or anything like that. And then we get new lower legs. As you can see, we had kind of that long growth on these previous ones. We do not get that growth here. We actually get a lot of sculpted detail and plant-like. So we got like leaves and then, you know, colored in branches and things like that. Like on the back of the legs. I don't know if that's like mushroom type fungus growth or anything like that. But some good sculpted detail with a little bit of brown paint. The feet, however, are the same. And I feel like the feet don't make as much sense on this new one, but it's also just the feet. Is it that big of a deal? I don't know. I mean, it kind of works, but we just didn't get any of this long growth kind of much else throughout the figure. So, you know, they now put it on the feet though. So it's just kind of one of those things. Looking at the details of like the torso piece, again, this lower torso is the same. Let's see if that hip piece is going to be the same because that plant growth butts are the same. Looking at the upper body though, look at all the sculpted detail in there. A lot of plant growth type of stuff. We got leaves and things going on there. Look at that one's kind of growing outwards, which is really cool. We get some of the roots, branches painted in there. I wish, again, some shading or something to bring out some of the different colors of green. Really would have been nice. There's this big old hump piece right here, which is kind of weird, as you can see kind of how that growth is. For whatever reason, on the previous one, there was a hole there, and that's how I initially found out that it was a rubber overlay, because I didn't know. Back then, I didn't know anything, right? But that hole was how I originally knew that it was some kind of rubber overlay. Now, why that hole was there to begin with, I don't know. Maybe there was something they had originally planned to port in there, and then budgetary reasons, maybe they just stopped. Unless my Build-A-Figure is just bad, and I always had a bad one and never known. Because it looks like they pegged something in there to put this rubber overlay, or the rubber overlay itself just has this thicker piece that sticks up there. I don't really know. But that's what we got going on. There's also this little painted daisy flower on there, by the way. So there we go. Again, I wish like the shading that we have here on the right forearm and the left forearm didn't get it as much. It's very heavy here on the right. I wish they did this shading of green throughout the whole figure, because they didn't. And I think that would have gone a long way to bring out the details. Yes, it's nice because we get some brown paint kind of going throughout, whereas the previous Build-A-Figure was just all green, and they did lighter shaded green and stuff like that. But how cool would it have been if they did this shading on this new one and still added in this brown paint areas? I think that would have been awesome, but you guys let me know what you think down in the comments below. I think more paint would tend to be better, like we get it here in his face and the, you know, these droop down parts of his face. To do that throughout the rest of the figure, it would have been better. Would have been nice to get. So there we go. So I know I've taken a lot of your time already on this portion, but just to kind of reiterate, the torso is the exact same, just a new rubber overlay for the upper portion. We get a new head, new shoulders, new forearms, new hands. Knees are upside down, new hip loincloth area, and then new lower legs. But then other than that, we get a lot of reused pieces. But let's go ahead and check out the articulation now. Okay, silly me, I forgot to talk about the accessories. Not that he really comes with a whole lot, but we have an extra set of hands. So out of the package, he actually has the fists there, and as you can see, the sculpted detail in the fists look pretty good. Scoop there. A tiny bit of brown paint on each of them there. So the fists are new there. And then he has the open hands, as you can see there, that I've already swapped onto the body. So let's go ahead and go over the articulation. The head is on a dumbbell joint, so you can move the head around quite a bit. You can get him to look to the sides somewhat there. You can do a full weird rotation. Obviously, that wouldn't even make sense. So you could do that. Looking up, he can only look up that much. He can only look down, basically just kind of straight out, I guess. And the way it is because, as you can see, where that dumbbell joint is, it's kind of not on the very top. It's already kind of sticking out. And then where it pegs in is there at the back of the head. So it's just kind of interesting, you know, kind of how they put that design in there. But if you ask me, it kind of makes sense. There, you know, how much could he really move his head, this big ginormous like monster type. The shoulder you can get to go straight on out like so. I'm not gonna lie, the fungus mushroom parts do kind of get in, they hit. They don't really get in the way, as you can see. You can T-pose them out. But those pieces are going to hit there. So you're probably going to get some paint rub and some things that are going to happen there. But just a heads up on that. You get a full rotation in there. You got upper bicep swivel in there. You get a single jointed elbow. So you got straight out, and then you got the bend there. So would you call that 90? I'd call that 90 degree bend at the elbow. It is pinned, wrist swivel, and they do hinge, standard horizontal hinge on the open hands as well as the fists. We have an ab crunch on this guy. The ab crunch is nice and firm, whereas on my Build-A-Figure it was fairly loose. Now it wasn't super wobbly or anything like that, but it was a little loose. But he can crunch forward that much there. He can't really crunch back, like it's just kind of straight up there. You have a waist swivel in there. Legs go out that far apart. He can kick forward. Ooh, look at that. I'm like cutting into that loincloth. I almost ripped off a piece of that rubber there. So yeah, careful with that. So you don't want to go straight out. You got to kind of turn to the side and kick it out, and you can kick out that much there. The leg doesn't really go back. You got an upper thigh cut in there. Double jointed pinned knee, so that much bend at the knee. That works out actually quite well. No calf swivel or anything like that. Foot hinges a little bit down. Ooh, I don't like that. So careful hitting that down, because that foot inside is going to scrape up against the fungus on the back of his leg. So be careful there. Ankle pivot, as you can see, foot hinges up a little bit, again, then down, and then peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So there's the articulation. I think he moves better than the Build-A-Figure, because again, my torso, nice and firm and sturdy, whereas on my Build-A-Figure, it like he wants to kind of droop down. Again, a little wobbly, like it won't completely fall on its own, but it feels like it wants to just rest in this position there. But I mean, it's there, but it feels a little bit loose. So, and then for your side-by-side comparisons again. Okay, so that's my review of the Man-Thing figure. You guys let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of the figure? Are you hoping for a Jack Russell Werewolf, or are you hoping for an Elsa Bloodstone? Hell yes, give me both. Give me the Bloodstone accessory to go along with it. I want a Jack Russell, I want a Werewolf figure, I want them all. But that's because I'm super biased when it comes to MCU stuff, and I'll openly admit that. I think you guys should probably know that by now. I mean, I am going by the MCU collector moniker there, so it makes sense. Give me all the MCU figures that possible. Like, I want them all, especially Werewolf, because it was an awesome movie, special TV presentation, whatever you want to refer to it as, short film, I don't know. I think it was awesome. It's cool to have Man-Thing, don't get me wrong, but Werewolf got to come, and he should have been first. But again, this was an easier figure for them to release because they got to reuse quite a few parts, even though, yes, there are some new things. They didn't have to go full-on tooling for a brand new figure altogether, whereas Jack Russell, they may have to do that. I'm okay with that. Hasbro, do it. Put the money into it. If I wish I could make those decisions, but maybe one day we will see a Werewolf figure. Maybe we will see an Elsa Bloodstone figure. Who knows? But maybe we will get it. In the meantime, we have the comic Elsa Bloodstone to go with Man-Thing, as you can see there. So she is smaller than him, but not as small as you may think. Right? She got some height to her with them wedge boots there, or not really wedge. I guess they're just slight heels there. So there we go. So hopefully an Elsa Bloodstone, hopefully a werewolf. Fingers crossed we get those. But you guys let me know down in the comments below. What do you think of this Man-Thing figure? Do you have it on pre-order? Are you looking to pick it up? Again, ToySnowman.com has it in stock right now. The link in my video description will actually, if you're creating a new account, will get you a 5% off coupon code for it. So make sure to check them out, ToySnowman.com. For all your action figure needs. Let me know if you're getting Man-Thing. Let me know what you think of the video. If you guys like it, hit that thumbs up button. If subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching.